What is up everyone, it's Saber here and welcome to another Naruto What If you end up liking the video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can take it back at any time and it really helps me out, and this is my main channel, so if you're interested in what if Naruto was raised by the Joker or what if Naruto had a shape-shifting bloodline and was insane, go check out my main channel. And if you're interested in what if Naruto was taken over by the Kyuubi when he was born, or what if Naruto was trained by Itachi after leaving Jiraiya, go check out my second channel. And with all of the YouTube formalities out of the way, let's get into it. Team 7 was walking through the gates of Konoha with a caravan in tow. They had been on a C-rank mission to escort and assigned to guard it while it was going through a quarter of High no Kuni, and once again the Chunin guards laughed at Naruto. His clothes had been singed in a katan jutsu and small patches were missing. Some shinobi had decided to try and rob the caravan a few miles from Konoha, rather stupid in Naruto's opinion, and of course he had been the only one hit by the only jutsu being cast. Naruto dusted some cooling embers of his shirt. Of course it was me he had to hit. It would be nice to walk into Konoha once without something having messed up my clothes. Last time it was a Suiton jutsu, the time before that a futon, and I don't want to remember the time before that is one homecoming with my clothes intact. Too much to ask. Kakashi waved his right hand in a dismissive manner. Ah, come on Naruto, it isn't that bad. The blonde shot his sensei a glare. Oh, and how would you know? Oh great. Sensei, you never even look up from that damned porn. The blonde genin didn't get an answer, and as such he just started brooding over his bad luck the rest of the way through Konoha. After they had dropped of their escort in the business part of Konoha, completing their mission, they made their way to the Hokage Tower. Mission-wise the last weeks hadn't gone bad. They still had the D ranks, but the Hokage seemed to like their results on the C ranks, as they were getting more and more of those. So far they had completed 4 or 5 with this C ranks. They quickly reached the Hokage's office and knocked on the door to mark their entrance. The old Hokage looked up from his stacks of paperwork. Ah, Team 7 back from another successful mission, I take. He paused at the sight of Naruto and sighed. What happened this time? Naruto crossed his arms. Freaking katan jutsu, he answered in a scowl. Hiruzen shook his head in amusement. Kakashi stepped forward, still reading his little orange book. Team 7 is reporting back from C rank mission. The caravan have been successfully escorted through High no Kuni without any major incidents. Easy for you to say, Naruto mumbled behind him, but he didn't react on it. Sakura only giggled while Sasuke snorted amusingly. The old Hokage nodded and wrote something down. He took a look at the paper he had been working on. I must say, I'm impressed with you. From all the teams of this year, you are doing by far the best. The statement cheered Naruto and the rest of his team up. Hiruzen mused as he puffed on his pipe a few times. Well, I think that will be all for now. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, you are all dismissed. Kakashi, I have some things to discuss with you. The genin of Team 7 responded with a high, bowed lightly and disappeared out of the door. Hiruzen walked up and activated a privacy seal. It has been some weeks since your last report. How is your team progressing? Kakashi clapped the book close and put it in his pouch. He looked thoughtful. They are all progressing nicely. Sasuke, as you know, has activated the Sharingan, and I have been training him how to use it. His taijutsu is also improving quite nicely, so is his chakra control. We haven't gotten to the point where we start with the Uchiha clan jutsu. For now we focus mostly on taijutsu for him to getting used to his Sharingan. Hiruzen nodded while blowing out some smoke from his pipe. Kakashi continued, in Sakura, our Rosette has really done a 180. She is actually trying, though I'm focusing most on Sasuke. I have been observing her progress. She sometimes trains with Naruto to get some pointers, but she mostly trains herself. She is a natural at chakra control, so it seems she focused more on the physical aspects of being a shinobi. I haven't seen her train any taijutsu, rather she trains her strength doing all kinds of different workouts. Rather clever actually. She was already rather strong for a girl her age, heck for a girl any age, so by training that first she will get an ace. Kakashi paused to think, and when I think about it, she seems to have more energy than she had those first few weeks. It could of course just be from her training, but I think she is eating well now rather than being on a diet and starving her body. Hiruzen smiled. Ah, so we have another aspiring kunoichi. That's good. I was a bit worried about the new generation's kunoichi. Most of this year's graduates were not really suited for the life of a shinobi. Kakashi nodded affirmative. Hi, it seems that way. Hiruzen got a tad more serious. This was what he really was interested in. And what about Naruto? Kakashi noticed the difference in the old Hokage's posture and speech pattern. Well, to be honest, I don't know a whole lot. You know that Jiraiya-sama has taken to train him when he is around. That is, I try to follow them in the shadows. Not that I could hide from a Sannin, but they seem to train in an area surrounded by chakra suppression and barrier seals. I have an idea of what they are doing in there, but as I said, I can't be sure. You think Jiraiya is training Him in using the Kyuubi, that would be my guess. Kakashi let it sink in. When Jiraiya is away, Naruto uses one of the more secluded training grounds. He is really using the Kage Bunshin to its full potential. It seems like he has learned a new taijutsu form, probably from Jiraiya, but I don't recognize it. He also seems to be practicing Fuinjutsu a lot. He is at least on level with someone who can use the restriction seal. He is also finally focusing on something more than just his Shoten. He has taken a liking to Futon. A gleam of approval flashed in Hiruzen's eyes. Futon, how the old man said with nostalgic written all over his face, just like his father and mother. How adept is he in it? I would say he is at skill level of someone having cut a third of a leaf. He certainly is more adept in Futon than Doton. He is not really training his Doton as of now. My guess would be that he tried out both Doton and Futon, and decided to train the element he was better at. Hiruzen nodded at the information he had gotten. What about the Rasengan? Does he even know what jutsu he is learning yet? Kakashi shook his head. No, it doesn't seem he does. He is at the final step, suppressing the sphere. It looks like it's almost complete, but he seems to be stuck. He just needs the last push. Hiruzen leaned back in his chair and breathed deeply. He really is impressive. He isn't like Sasuke, whereas Sasuke is a genius. Naruto just works really hard. Not that I am saying Naruto is not as talented, but I wouldn't call him a genius. Hi, though agreeing to it left a bitter taste in Sarutobi's mouth. The old Hokage sat back up and looked the silver-haired Jounin straight in the eye. Just one more thing, Kakashi, you know about the Jounin meeting this afternoon? Kakashi confirmed with a nod. Don't be late. This isn't one you want to be late to. Kakashi sighed. Alright, I'll be there on time. Just this once. Hiruzen nodded and began on his paperwork again. That was all. You're dismissed. As his Jounin left the Sandame's mind soon wondered as he stops working. Hiruzen's gaze went solemn as his mind recounted Kakashi's opinion between Naruto and Sasuke. He leans back in his chair. Naruto truly does takes after you, Kushina, and I have the nerve to act like his grandfather when I cannot properly acknowledge my own grandson. True talent doesn't come from a clan, natural talent, or genetics. It comes from the drive to be the best at the craft you have chosen, and very much like you, Kushina, Naruto has that in spades. Please forgive this old fool Naruto. With Naruto was walking through Konoha towards the training grounds. After they had been dismissed, the blonde had been around his apartment quickly to change. He had also sent a Kage Bunshin with his burned clothes to Higurashi. Normally he would have done it himself to see if Tenten was around, but he knew she wouldn't be at the store the day Team 7 was setting out on their mission. She had told him that she and her team was going to participate in the Chunin exams, and that their sensei would use every moment until the exams with training them, so the chances of Naruto running into her were rather slim. Naruto frowned lightly when he thought about his own training. It's so frustrating. I'm sure I'm really close to finishing that jutsu Erosenin is training me in, but I just can't give it the last push. And then there's the Shoten Bunshin. I just can't make it. I make the form, it gains my traits, but it's just a dummy. It won't and can't do anything. Maybe if I hey Naruto, a female voice called him. He turned around to see Sakura running towards him waving. He couldn't help but feel butterflies in his stomach. Little by little, since they had come back from Nami no Kuni, Sakura had accepted him more and more. She didn't call him an idiot or hit him that much anymore, which he was very thankful for. She had even joined him for training sometimes where she fought against him or his clones. That way she was training her endurance with the never-ending clones, and Naruto has been training her in the new taijutsu style he had learned from a scroll he found. He waved back at the pink-haired Kunoichi. Hey Sakura-chan, is something wrong? She made her way to her teammate. No, not at all. I was just wondering if you were going to train now. He grinned at her. Do you even have to ask? She shook her head smiling. No, I guess not. Can I join you? I have a new trick I want to try out. Sure, but what about Sasuke? Naruto asked while starting to walk again. Sakura followed him. He is training with Kakashi as usual, she said, a little harsh. Of course he is, he said tiredly. Naruto couldn't blame Sakura since he felt the same way. Kakashi was Team 7 sensei, not Uchiha Sasuke's personal guide. He could understand Kakashi taking some time for Sasuke and being the only one able to train Sasuke about the Sharingan, but forgetting Sakura and him altogether, that was pushing. They weren't mad at Sasuke though, he was sucking it up and not thinking about the team as a whole either, but at Kakashi he was just glad that he can help. Sakura could train by them or they would really be screwed. They soon enough made it to training ground 43. Sakura politely waited while Naruto made the clones. Naruto made his way to the middle of the field and formed a familiar seal. Taiju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu 200-ish clones appeared, already knowing what to do. They split up, a third of them working on Jiraiya's balloons, a fourth working on Fuinjutsu, a fourth working on the Shoten Bunshin, and the last were walking towards Sakura to get ready to train with her. Naruto also made his way to his female teammate. Sakura looked over at all the Narutos who had sat down and started writing. Naruto, what are those clones doing? The real Naruto looked over at which ones she was referring to. Oh, they are working on my Fuinjutsu. Sakura eyes widen. Fuinjutsu, he is working on Fuinjutsu. I knew he was good. He is by far the best in our class now, even better than Sasuke, but to work on something that advanced. She shook the disbelief from her. She should be used to this by now. Naruto kept surprising her from the day they had graduated. If you had asked her in the academy if she would ever willingly train with Naruto, she would have smacked them across the classroom for the insult, but now she would never have gotten this far if it wasn't for him. Sakura-chan, Sakura-chan, are you okay? Naruto asked, waving a hand in front of her face. She blushed lightly. She must have spaced out. Oh yeah, I'm okay. I'm just surprised that you're working on something as advanced as Fuinjutsu. Wait, so you're making those sealing scrolls you're using by yourself? He nodded. How many seals have you learned? Naruto showed her an embarrassed grin, while scratching the back of his head. Well, I know sealing scroll explosion tags, restriction seals, and mild chakra suppression seals, but that's all. Fuinjutsu is some of the toughest I've ever done. She nodded at the information, just getting even more impressed. Naruto got into his stance. Well, shall we? She grinned at him. Oh yes, we shall. Shivers ran through all the clones around her. Later that afternoon, Naruto patted his behind. Ouch, you really have improved, Sakura-chan, he said, winching. She smiled proudly. Thanks, but how did you hit that hard? I mean, you left small craters, for crying out loud. The blonde Genin asked with a wondering expression. Chakra, she answered simply. Naruto's eyes lit up. Of course, that explains it. So you channel some chakra through your muscles, making them stronger while you fight? Yes, she nodded affirmative, but I can't do it for longer period of times, so I need training in that. I see. Hey Naruto, Nii-chan, a voice sounded behind them. The two members of Team 7 turned around to see three 8-year-olds standing and smiling to Naruto. It was Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udan, or as they liked to call themselves, the Konohamaru Corps. Naruto kind of liked them. Konohamaru, the hyperactive leader with the longest scarf he had seen, Udan, the math genius/geek with a never-ending cold, and Moegi, the reasonable kunoichi in training with gravity-defying pigtails. He smiled back at them. Hey guys, what's up? Konohamaru looked deadpan at him. Come on, Nii-chan, can't you remember you promised to play shinobi with us when you came back from your mission? Udan and Moegi nodded in agreement. Sakura turned to Naruto with a look that greatly resembled Konohamaru's. Really, a shinobi playing shinobi? Ah, come on Sakura-chan, when you were in the academy didn't you ever want to play shinobi, and what better way to do it than with someone already a shinobi? He answered, not embarrassed at all. The Rosette shook her head smirking. Konohamaru looked between the two older children. You could really see the wheels turn in his head. His eyes lit up. Oh boss, is this your? He made a gesture with his pinky finger. That all? But screamed girlfriend. Naruto quickly shook his hands in front of him in a defensive manner and shook his head. No, she is my teammate, not my girlfriend. He glanced over at Sakura. She had a tick mark but seemed to calm down when Naruto denied it. Konohamaru took his hand and cupped his chin while nodding. I see, guess it's because she's so flat-chested, right boss, or it's because she has that monstrously large forehead, right boss? Naruto looked at his little brother figure in disbelief. There is no saving you from this, Konohamaru. The blonde sighed. No, it's not because of either of those. Goodbye, Konohamaru. It was nice knowing you. Konohamaru gave him a puzzled look. Why are you going somewhere? No, but you are, Naruto said, and pointed lightly over at Sakura. Konohamaru glanced over at where Sakura should have been. What he saw instead, he could have sworn, was the death god Shinigami. It didn't take him more than a second to take off with Sakura right behind him. I'm going to kill you, brat. Moegi and Udan looked worried at Naruto. He sighed. Alright, I'll try to stop her, but if anything happens to me it's on you guys, he said, pointing at them before he took off. Sakura-chan, please don't kill him. He was just kidding, right Konohamaru? Or right, sorry Sakura, I didn't mean it. Naruto, help me. It came from the young Sarutobi as he tried to get away from the spitting image of the death god. Naruto had caught up to them when Konohamaru turned a corner. He heard a hump. Sakura seemed to have calmed a bit down from the running and looked wondering at Naruto. The blonde Genin looked just as confused. They quickly turned the corner as well and saw what Konohamaru had run into. He was currently held up in his scarf. Well, what do we have here? A little brat going where he shouldn't. The boy Konohamaru had run into said he was wearing a black and baggy full body suit with a red and yellow circle in front. To top the look off, he also wore a black hood with cat-like ears on it. What caught Naruto's attention was the Hitai 8 on his forehead. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Suna, I guess they're here for the Chunin exams, but that doesn't mean they can go around and do whatever they want. Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udan cried as they had just also turned the corner. The Suna shinobi tightened his grip. That hurt, brat. Stop it, we're going to get scolded later. We're not in Suna anymore. A female voice came from behind the foreigner. Naruto took a look at her. She is rather pretty. She had dark green eyes and blonde hair not far from the color he had, though a little darker, which was gathered in 4 ponytails. Naruto stepped forward. Your teammate is right. Suna let go of the boy. Kankuro looked at the blonde boy and saw the Hitai 8. He grinned mentally. They must be Konoha Genin. Let's have some fun. He stared hard at the boy in his hand. No, I think I better teach this brat a lesson before some noisy people come around. Tamari sighed. Kankuro, you're on your own with this. I won't be a part of this. Kankuro ignored it and brought his free hand back ready to throw a punch. That was Naruto's cue. He took off a lot faster than before. Before Kankuro could react, Naruto had wrapped his hand around his wrist and twisted it, causing Kankuro to lose grip on Konohamaru. Naruto wasn't done. He twisted the arm behind his opponent's back while sweeping his feet, causing him to fall on his stomach. Naruto quickly conjured a kunai-like weapon with his shoton and pointed it at the back of his neck. You should have listened to your teammate. The Konohamaru Corps and the Suna Genin looked in disbelief. Sakura not so much. After all, she had been on the same team as Naruto for months and trained with him. She looked hard at the two shinobi from Suna. Suna, why are you here? It's true that Konoha and Suna are allies, but you need a passport and reason if you want to be in Konoha. Kankuro laughed lightly. How pathetic, you don't even know that the Chunin exams are coming up. Naruto tightened his grip on Kankuro's arm, causing him to wince. And you are one to talk. We will have to take a look at your passports anyway. Temari frowned. And why is that? Naruto didn't look happy and half glared at the girl. Even if you are here for the Chunin exams, it doesn't give you right to go around and do whatever you please. As a shinobi of Konoha, I can ask any foreigner to show their passport if I find suspicion that they are a danger or do crime in Konoha. Your friend here, he nodded at Kankuro, have attacked a shinobi in training, the third Hokage's grandson, nonetheless a shinobi, and resisted giving your passports. So now please hand over your passports. Temari could see the boy wasn't kidding and felt chills run down her spine when she heard who the boy her brother had almost mugged was. Kankuro, see, that's why I told you not to do it. I'm sorry Konoha, she said, bowing. Please let my brother go. Naruto hesitated a bit but did as she had asked. Kankuro stood up and dusted himself off. Naruto still was less than happy with her. And now your passports also. The redhead up there, he made a gesture with his head towards a tree nearby. All the people around him looked surprised. Up at the place, a red-haired boy were standing upside down in the tree. Temari, Kankuro, you are a disgrace to our village. Temari looked a little scared. Gara jumped down between them and handed over his passport to Naruto. Kankuro and Temari quickly did the same. Naruto looked through them. As they had said, they were here for the Chunin exams. Naruto's right brow lifted when he saw that they were the Kasakage's children, but that wasn't going to get them any special treatment. He searched his pouch and pulled up a pen. He channeled chakra through it to make ink and made a few notes. He handed the passports back. This will be reported. I will suggest that you hold a low profile while staying in Konoha. If you pull a prank like this again, I can't promise that you will be able to stay. I'll make sure that there won't be any more problems, Gaara said, bowing lightly. The dark green eyes met the bright blue. Naruto could feel something, maybe something familiar. He couldn't be sure. He shook it off quickly and regained his serious face. Make sure of it, Gaara nodded. Before taking his team with him, Naruto held his Dogai pose until he could feel the Suna team's presences leave. He exhaled and turned towards the others with a smile. Konohamaru, are you okay? Konohamaru and his core looked at Naruto with stars in their eyes. Konohamaru stepped out from his hiding place behind Sakura. Yeah, I am boss. That was so cool. Udon and Moegi quickly praising him with compliments, how he was a hero and how they bet he could kick those Suna shinobi's asses if he wanted to. Naruto grinned embarrassed but stopped abruptly and looked up in another tree. Sasuke, you enjoying the view? Sasuke just replied with an HN. He looked over the people there standing on a branch. I just came to tell you that for tomorrow we will have to meet Kakashi at the bridge. And with that he disappeared. Naruto sighed. Don't you ever get out of that asshole phase, the blonde swore. He heard a loud scoff from his tenant, but nothing else. He turned around to Sakura to see her clutch her hands near her heart, making his own break slightly. Don't worry about him, it didn't seem to help. Oh well, I'm going to get something to eat now, so see you tomorrow. Sakura-chan, yeah, see you tomorrow, she replied distantly. Hey, what about us playing shinobi? Konohamaru asked, rather irritated. Naruto shrugged. Well, you can come with me. You paying for your own food, of course, and we can do it after, he said, and started to walk towards the Chirakus. The Konohamaru Corps quickly ran after him while chattering about how cool he was at Konoha's main gate. The Chunin guards were having a busy day. The Chunin exams were coming up and genin from all over the elemental continent were heading to Konoha to participate, and because of that there was a lot of extra work for the gate guards. Yet another team was heading towards the gates of Konoha, but this was from Kiri, the first one they'd seen so far. So this is Konoha, huh? It's a lot different from home. Haku said she was still getting used to the idea of having a home and not just being on the move all the time. You're right, it's a lot different, Zabuza replied, looking at the big gates, the village of the tree hugging hippies. The Jounin chuckled, being glared at by the guards. Haku smiled. I hope I get to see Naruto while we're here. And me too. UFT talked a lot about this guy. It came from one of her teammates. His name was Kurisuki Kojuru, and he was the same age as her, 13 years old. He has short tufty blue hair and dark eyes. He also had pointed shark-like teeth, a trait that Haku knew he was shy about and wished he didn't have. He wears square black rimmed glasses connected to ear protectors. blue pinstripe shirt and camouflage pattern pants over his shirt. He wears his forehead protector on the front of his holster, which he uses to carry his sword. Haku was rather impressed by how well he was handling his sword. It was a big broad one that couldn't be light. Many had talked about that he could be the next wielder of Haramakiri. He also had a sharp mind for tactics, but as he was now he couldn't put it to full use. He was rather shy even with all his talent. As long as you stop talking about it every 5 minutes, he can't be that remarkable. It came from her second teammate. His name was Ringo Kohei, descendant of Ringo Amuri, one of the former 7 ninja swordsmen. He was slightly older than his 2 teammates, 16 years old to their 15 in his year. He was one of the best shinobi, but according to his clan he is not something to boast about. He was rather short for their age group, but had a very elegant build. He had large brown eyes framed by long coffee-colored hair worn in a style that could resemble a waterfall. Kohei was more of a taijutsu expert, using a modified form of his clan's taijutsu. His form emphasizes tormenting one's opponent and using blocks and counterstrikes. Although he was very proficient in it, he was not without weapon. He was always wearing a whip at his side, and he knew how to use it. He was also a very skilled in trap laying, a skill which had saved them a few times, but because of his clan looking down on him, he was not quick to acknowledge others' strength. That's where you are wrong, Zabuza said to his student. Not only did Naruto go toe-to-toe with Haku here, but he beat her. Given he was rather beaten up himself, he came out of it victorious, and you both know how strong Haku is. You have only been able to beat her when you teamed up, and even then you lose when she uses her mirrors. Naruto beat her mirrors. He sounds scary. I hope I don't let you guys down, Kojuro said, a little dejected. Kohei didn't believe a word of it. That Naruto guy must just have been lucky. You're not getting to me with any of that crap. When I see him I'll decide whether he is strong or not. Haku shook her head as her team made its way over to the booth and showed their passports. After they had gotten their approval, they made their way into Konoha to find their hotel. Half an hour later, by the gods, Omo, you are not going to die. A voice sounded from the forest line, making the guards wince as they turned to look where the god's awful voice came from. It was a dark-skinned kunoichi with long red hair and amber eyes. She looked to be around 13 or 14. She was wearing a long short-sleeved dress with frilly edges and a flak jacket and Kumo-style 2 simple yellow earrings and fishnet stockings to finish it off. She had thigh-high boots with white soles, and she wore her atai as a bandana. It didn't take long for the guards to conclude that the team coming was from Kumo. The Chunin from Kumo and Konoha had severed all but the most basic communication lines after Kumo had used what was supposed to be a peace treaty to attempt a kidnap on the Hyuga heir. But Karui would have Kono Omoi tried and she yelled at him before slamming him on top of the head. Even if he was from Kumo, the guards couldn't help but feel sympathy for the poor guy. He had just as dark skin as his teammate and looked to be the same age, but he had short spiky white hair and dark eyes that curved slightly upwards. He was wearing a dark outfit consisting of an overlong shirt with a hood, red bandages, handguards, shin guards Kumogakure style, and a black hatai. He also seemed to have a thing for lollipops, as he had just finished one, but it was replaced within a second. Would you two please calm down? We are representing Kumogakure and Konoha, and Kumo haven't exactly been best friends the last few years. A third voice sounded, drawing the guards' eyes away from the bickering couple. Their mouths instantly watered. Behind the 2 dark-skinned shinobi were standing what they only could describe as beautiful. It was another girl, probably around 16 or so. She had long straight blonde hair close to the color of the Yamanaka's hair. It was bound with tight bandages in a ponytail before falling free to around her waist. She was wearing a short-sleeved black and purple blouse, black pants, both of which had cloud-like designs on them. Around her hands were purple fingerless gloves and a chain of white beads wound around her left hand. Around her arms and legs she wore bandages, and around her waist a red belt around her forehead, keeping her hair from falling into her face. She wore the Kumo Atai. Yujito is right, you know. A fourth voice sounded. The team was finally together. Raikage-sama has sent us here to make the relation between our villages better. Whether Konoha wants to acknowledge it or not, the Hyuga incident wasn't on his orders, though I can't blame them that they don't believe it. If it had been the other way around, I can't say we would have reacted as well as they did. So you guys are not only here as participants in the Chunin exams, but also diplomats. The guards had all but forgotten Yujito now. The last member of the Kumo team seemed to be as older than Yujito by 2 years. She had fair skin and tall of stature with lots of curves, especially her breasts. She had blue eyes and straight blonde hair framing her face with a shorter cut in the back and the front bangs reaching her shoulders. She was wearing a very low-cut outfit with mesh underneath, a short skirt and red handguards, high boots, and what the guards guessed to be a modified Kumogakure flak jacket that only covered her stomach, not very different than that of a girdle. Yes, Nachan, Karui answered with a dismissive wave. I know that you have already taken the exam and all, but I can't understand why B-sensei couldn't come himself. Because of Yujito, I mean, try to imagine two of her kind, no offense to you Yujito, in a foreign village. Add to it that Konoha also has its own. I mean, what if they all lost control and they wiped Konoha from the map? The other villages would demand them executed and we wouldn't have a choice, and then there would be another big war since Hai no Kuni would be unprotected. And then I get it already. Omoi Karui cried out, you two stop it now, act more cool, more like a shinobi of Kumo, she said to them before going over to the booth and handed over the passports. She quickly got them back and took her team to downtown Konoha, where they would be staying in the Jounin meeting lounge. Hiruzen Sarutobi was sitting in his chair looking over all the Jounin senseis. He had already declared the Chunin exams a little over a week ago, and there was only one more thing to do. He puffed a few more times on his pipe. Now that the Chunin exams are soon upon us, will the Jounin sensei with this year's Genin step forward? 3 Jounin in the front row walked forward: Kakashi, Kurenai, and Asuma. As you know, any Genin who has completed more than 12 missions is eligible to enter the exam, though the new Genins can only do it through your recommendations. But as I'm sure you all know, it is rare for new Genin to be in the exams. Normally the Jounin sensei in charge waits till they have completed at least a year of training. He paused, puffing on his pipe again and letting what he had said sink in. Is there any Genin on your teams who you think are ready? Kakashi moved his right arm up in a half-ramp, seal a tradition when nominating someone to the exams, and began restate the words for nominating from Team 7 that I lead: Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Naruto, and Haruno Sakura. I recommend those 3 to the Chunin exams under my name. Hataki. Kakashi. Murmurs ran through the room but were soon silenced as Kurenai took the same position as Kakashi had from Team 8, that I lead Hyuga Hinata, Inazuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino. I recommend those 3 to the Chunin exams under my name. Yuhi. Kurenai. The crowd didn't have time to start again as Asuma took the same pose as the others from Team 10, that I lead Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akamichi Chuji. I recommend those 3 to the Chunin exams under my name. Sarutobi. Asuma. As the last of the new Jounin senseis finished, the crowd erupted and talked stuff likes. All 3 gave their recommendations, and it's been a couple of years since rookies have appeared in the Chunin exams. Ran through the Jounin. Some looked less pleased than others, but none interjected. The old Okage nodded. Very well, it's settled then. Hataki. Kakashi's Team 7, Yuhi Kurenai's Team 8, and Sarutobi Asuma's Team 10 will be given the chance of joining the Chunin exams. He nodded to himself. Now that that's settled, let's move on to next morning at the bridge. The Genin of Team 7 had only waited for about 20 minutes when their sensei appeared in a puff of smoke on the top of the bridge. All quickly tensed, as their sensei only ever showed close to be on time when something serious was going on. When Kakashi saw this, he lazily waved. Relax, relax, nothing is going on, you can get out of your stances. When he saw them relax, he continued, well, I'll get right to the point. I have recommended you all to the Chunin exams. So he searched his pouch and took out 3 application papers. Here, take these applications, but as I said, I have only recommended you, so it's up to you guys if you want to give it a go or not. The 3 Genin took the applications as he continued, if you want to participate then you sign the papers and meet at the academy the 1st of July 3 p.m. and go to room 301. That's in 3 days. The Genin nodded and took a look at their applications. Kakashi continued, furthermore, because the Chunin exams are held here, I can't train or help you before the second exam is complete. Due to the number of foreign shinobi in the village, more Konoha shinobi has been called to duty as patrols, so decide well, see ya. And with that he puffed away before Sakura and Naruto could even talk to him. Sasuke had also disappeared, causing Sakura to sigh heavily. She leaned on the railing beside Naruto, whom seemed to be in deep thought. She looked at him wonderingly. I thought you would be jumping up and down in happiness. This is just what you want, isn't it? Naruto breathed deeply and looked up in the sky. Yes it is, but I'm not sure if I'm ready. 10 and her team are also in the exams for the first time, and they have had a lot more training than we have. We will most likely be the most inexperienced Genin there unless the others from our year join the exam, but even then they too are some of the most inexperienced. Oh, was all Sakura could say. Yeah, Naruto replied, still looking at the clouds, but on the other hand, this is our chance to show what we got. I mean, I want to show everyone from our year that I'm not dead last anymore. I can't take how condescending they talk to me. Well, apart from Shika, Chuji, Hinata, and Shino, and I bet you want to show Ino how strong you have become. Sakura smiled when she thought about how Ino would react. Yeah, can't wait to see her face when I beat her. Naruto got up and started walking, but stopped halfway off the bridge. I guess it's something we have to decide for ourselves. Let's just agree on that we won't blame the other for whatever we chose. Deal. Sakura nodded. Deal. Time skip. The sun was finally peeking over the mountains of Konoha and was shining directly through a window and landing on a very special Genin. Naruto rolled over groaning, trying to hide from the sun. A few more minutes. He was lying like that for 30 seconds or so before peeking on the clock. It was showing 7:43 a.m. Naruto rolled his eyes. Of course, the day I decide to sleep until around 11, I wake up early just My luck, back to bed I guess. Naruto threw a pillow over his face again, trying to get some more sleep. After what seemed like hours to him, he fluttered an eye open lightly to look at the ever-ticking clock. 7:52 a.m. He threw off the comforter and sat up in bed. Fuck this. Normally he would have been up in the early hours training his ass off until his team would meet, but since today was everything but normal, he had planned slept into when the normal citizen would have woken. He could see he would have none. That he sighed and started a mild morning routine: 400 sit-ups, 400 pull-ups, 400 push-ups, and 400 squats. Normally he would have done twice as much, but since today was the day of the exams, he wouldn't want to overexert himself. After he was done, he went to the bathroom and did his business. For once he could actually enjoy his shower instead of rushing through it. He came out of the steaming bathroom with a towel around the waist and headed for the kitchen. It took him real self-restraint not to just take one of the ramen cups, but actually making some healthy breakfast. He sighed once again. He knew he needed to eat healthier if he wanted to grow. He set some eggs and bacon over and headed for his closet. A few minutes later he was sitting at the table enjoying his breakfast and the quiet morning. He took a quick look over the apartment. There were a few pieces of clothes here and there, but overall it was rather neat. His eyes went over his picture wall. A smile crept over his lips. There was one of him in 1010 in the ramen stand, taken by IM. He really couldn't believe he had gotten such a good friend. A bit to the left of that was one of his team, and Kakashi was in the back looking cool as ever. In front of him was Sakura, trying to look as cute as possible. To her right, Sasuke was standing looking as broody as he could, the blonde showing a confident smile, fearless as to tell the world, bring it on. Further to the left of that was one of him and Sakura training. Sakura was throwing one of her mean left hooks at Naruto, whom were bracing himself with a crossguard. In the background you could see hordes of his Kage Bunshin training in various subjects. On top of all the other photos was his ninja registration photo. He frowned a bit. I'm happy with the photo, but right now I wish I had just let them take a normal one. It doesn't exactly take a genius to figure out that I have some sort of Kekkei Genkai. All they need is one look. No wonder GG were hesitant about allowing it. I just hope no one in the exams have found out. It would be nice to have it as an ace. If not, I'll burn that bridge when I reach it. He got up from the table and threw the dishes in the wash. Even he wasn't pressed for time. He couldn't be bothered with it. He glanced over at the clock. It showed 9:14 a.m. He still had hours before he was supposed to meet his team. He walked towards the door. He knew he couldn't stay in his apartment for so long. He could just as well use the time walking around in the village. A few hours later, Naruto was walking down one of the many streets of Konoha heading for a Chiraku ramen. He looked around on the main road. It was even more crowded than normal. It was the day of the Chunin exams after all, and people from all over the elemental nations had migrated to Konoha during the last weeks to see what the next generation of shinobi had to offer. Stands were being erected all the way down the road, selling everything from food to charms to betting coupons. Naruto was currently checking out said stands and enjoying the lack of glares from the unknowing foreigners. The whisker-cheeked boy took a look at the sun's position. It's about 1:30 p.m. I have to be at the academy at 3 p.m. sharp, and it wouldn't hurt to get there a little earlier and see what kind of genin we will go up against. Naruto, hey Naruto. The blonde turned around to see who were calling him, and a big smile spread out on his face. Iruka-sensei, long time no see. How the scarred academy instructor ran up to his little brother figure. Yeah, you can say that again. I haven't seen you since after we had that ramen after your mission to Nami. Naruto scratched the back of his head and laughed embarrassedly. Sorry about that, Iruka-sensei. I have been kind of busy lately, a lot of mission, you know. Iruka grinned at the blonde genin. Yeah, I know, you're only missing a Doton Jutsu, no right? The genin in front of Iruka looked at him, questioning. What do you mean? You know your clothes have been soaked by a Sueton, burned by a Katon, crisped by a Raiton, and sliced by Futon, so you're only missing a Doton now, right? I wonder what that would do to your clothes. Naruto's face got red in embarrassment as he glared at his big brother figure. Who told you? The scarred Chunin kept grinning at the smaller Konoha. Oh, just an old monkey. Naruto knew right away who he was referring to. I'm going to kill you, GG. Iruka was having a real hard time to not laugh, but was holding in it well. Naruto, now that I have that out of my system, you want to grab some at Chiraku's? Naruto wasn't completely over the tease, but eased the glare. I have already had breakfast, but I guess I could go for a bowl or two. I mean, it is at Chiraku's after all. 40 minutes later. Ah, that hit the spot, Naruto said as he finished slurping the last of the ramen from the bowl, putting it down on the table before ordering another. Iruka's sweat dropped. As of now there was 8 empty bowls on the table, and none of them was his. He shook his head lightly while smiling. And here I thought I could leave without an empty wallet for once. Oh well, Naruto laughed. Sorry about that, sensei. You know you don't have to call me sensei anymore. The blonde Uzumaki shrugged. For me you will always be Iruka sensei. That's not ever going to change, not even when I'm the Godame Hokage. Iruka laughed and ruffled the blonde genin's hair. Now take one step at a time. You first have to make Chunin. Remember? The whiskered kid nodded vigorously. Yep, but that isn't going To become a problem, he paused. Iruka-sensei, the blonde had changed his tone rather fast, catching the scarred Chunin off guard. What is it, Naruto? Do you have any advice for the Chunin exams? You must have already taken it obviously, Naruto asked. Iruka got a nostalgic look on his face. Well, the exam changes each time though the basics remain the same. I can't help you too much, that wouldn't be fair for the other genin. But this I can tell you, I'm sure you've heard it before, but look underneath, look. Underneath, yeah, I've heard it before. Naruto finished his 9th bowl of ramen, slurping and licking it clean. Oh well, I better get going now. If I get there before time, I might have a chance of getting some information on the other genin. Iruka nodded approvingly and smiled at Naruto. Good luck. Naruto jumped down from his chair and showed Iruka one of his most brilliant smiles. Thanks, sensei, just you wait, I'll become Hokage in no time. Naruto was walking towards the academy in his own pace. He was after all in good time when he heard a commotion from one of the cafes on the road. Sounded like someone was in a hurry, but Naruto didn't pay much attention to it. That was until he was just outside the cafe and a boy came running towards him and didn't stop. Needless to say, the result was the two boys colliding and landing on the road. I am so sorry, the boy who had bumped into Naruto said while bowing. Apologizing, Naruto got up smiling and dusted himself off. Hey, no sweat, it was just an accident, Kohei. I told you not to threaten him like that. It came from inside the restaurant. Naruto looked over the boy's shoulder. I know that voice, and with that 2 other figures came out from the cafe, a boy and a girl. Well, we wouldn't be late if Sabusa-sensei hadn't disappeared like that. Now we have to find the exam building by ourselves. It came from the boy. The girl sighed. I know, but you know Ho Haku, Naruto half yelled happily. Haku stopped in mid-sentence and looked at where the voice had come from. When she saw Naruto, a big smile spread on her face. Naruto-kun, and ran over to him and gave him a big hug, which he happily returned. She stepped back, blushing a little embarrassed with her forwardness. Naruto for the first time took a good look at her. She really looked like a girl now. She was wearing the same clothes, but she didn't wrap clothes around to hide her breast, and she wore her hair down. He smiled at her. How have you been? Is Zabuza here too? She nodded. Yes, he is, but I don't exactly know where he is. As for me, I'm doing rather well. Kiri has really changed, and we were accepted with open arms. They were more than happy to see one of the 7 swordsmen and the last survivor of Yuki clan return. Mizuki-sama even let him become a sensei and put me on his team. She continued like that, with Naruto asking a few questions here and there and answering question himself until there was a loud cough behind her. You mind introducing us, Haku? It came from the elder of the 2 boys. Sorry, yes of course. Haku mentally bashed herself for forgetting all about her teammates. Naruto, this is my teammates Ringo, Kohei. She motioned to the elder of the boys, and Kurasuke Kojuru. She motioned to the blue-haired boy who was bowing. Naruto nodded to them. Nice to meet you, I'm Uzumaki. Naruto. Kohei simply nodded at him, his eyes never leaving the Konoha genin. Naruto didn't miss it but let it slide for now. Kojuru was much friendlier. It's nice to finally meet you, Naruto-san. Haku has told us much about you. Naruto smirked to a slightly blushing Haku. She has now. As she paused, now that we've been introduced, do you mind telling me what all the commotion before was about? Haku sighed. As you've probably guessed, we're here for the Chunin exams, but Zabuza-sama left a little while ago and we only know the exams are supposed to be held at the academy, but we have no idea where that is. The whiskered boy smiled at them. I can take you there. I was on my way there myself. It's no far. Thank you, Naruto-san, Kojuru said, bowing yet again, making Naruto sweat drop. This kid needs some more confidence. Naruto noticed the son's position having used way more time than he had planned. We better get going if want to get there in time. It's already around 2:30, he said as he began walking towards the academy. It was a short trip there. It was only 2 blocks away. Haku and her team was walking not far behind him. So Naruto-san, are you and your team participating in the exam too? Naruto nodded. You bet we are. You better watch out. We're going to graduate this whole thing with top grades. Kohei scoffed, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow. You don't believe we can do it, Ringo-san? Kohei shrugged. Why should you? From what Haku said, you're just rookies. Kohei, that wasn't nice, Kojuru said lowly as Haku was looking harshly at their teammate, but it didn't seem to affect Naruto. If you keep thinking like that, you're in for a big surprise. By the way, Haku, he said, catching her attention, do you mind keeping my gift a secret from other teams? It would be nice to have an ace. She nodded. Sure, Naruto-kun. They walked a little further. Here we are, Naruto said with a smile. His back to the buildings. Naruto, the voice of his teammate called. Naruto turned to look after his pink-haired friend who were running towards him. Naruto, I thought we decided to get here earlier to get some information on the other teams. Naruto waved at her. Hey Sakura-chan, sorry for not being here earlier, but look who I ran into, he said as he stepped aside, revealing the Hayatan user. Sakura's eyebrows rose in recognition. Oh, it's you, Haku, right? Haku Nodded hi, and these are my teammates Ringo Kohei and Kurasuki Kojuru. The Rosette greeted them and turned to Naruto. We should be going now. Sasuke-kun is getting impatient. Naruto nodded. Alright, we'll see you later then. See you late Naruto-san. Yes, see you Naruto-kun. Sakura-san. Nothing more was said as Sakura was towing Naruto after her into the building a few weeks ago. It wouldn't have been a problem for Naruto, but Sakura had gotten a lot stronger. They walked into a very impatient looking Sasuke. Where were you, dope? I almost thought you chicken out, as if you're not getting rid of me that easily, Naruto retorted. All he got in return was a scoff as Sasuke started walking towards the stairs. Naruto sighed and followed with Sakura. They had made it to second floor. Naruto glanced to see if she had noticed what he had. She nodded lightly, only enough for those closest to her to catch on. There was a genjutsu cast on them. As they had walked into the hallway, the question was what it did. Naruto didn't have to look long as he saw a group of kids standing in front of two others who were blocking a door to what looked like to be room 301, but they were only on the second floor, so the testing starts already now. This must be to weed the weakest out. They heard a thud and a gasp from the crowd. They went to look at what was going on. Lee was sitting on the floor. Obviously it was him who had made the thud sound with 1010 kneeling down beside him. It didn't take long for Naruto to figure out that they were doing what he was planning to do, hide their true strength till they needed it. You're trying to make Chunin with that kind of skill. Maybe you should just quit. It came from one of the boys who were blocking the door. You're just kids after all. It then came from the second. 1010 got up from her kneeling position. Please let us through. She stepped forward to go between them, but they wouldn't have any of that. The one on the right raised his fist to hit her. She squinted, acting like the amateur they were trying to look like, but instead of the slight pain she had expected, she felt a tuck in her arm and the feeling of spinning in the air. When she opened her eyes, she was in Naruto's arms. He quickly put her down. Hey Ten-chan, been a while. Hush. She blinked a few times. Naruto, what are you doing here? Wait, are you guys taking the exam too? He nodded. Yeah, we are. I would have told you, but I haven't been able to find you the last couple of days. She nodded thoughtfully, then lowered her voice. Why did you rescue me? You have to know that we are just pretending. Of course I know, but I just can't stand by and let one of my most precious persons get hurt, no matter if it's just a bruise on the cheek, he replied. She blushed lightly. Dope, first you show up this late and now you're showing off skills. It was your idea not to let the other genin in on what we can do. And who is this person? Sasuke hissed. Tenten looked the raven-haired boy up and down and saw Sakura standing behind him, stealing glances. She leaned over to Naruto, having laid 2 and 2 together. Sasuke. Naruto sighed with closed eyes. Sasuke, well, dope, what do you have to say for yourself? Sasuke tried again. Sakura came up beside him. Come on Sasuke, he was just helping a friend. Both Naruto and Sasuke looked with shock in their faces on Sakura. It took her a few seconds to figure out why she had just contradicted what Sasuke had said. Sasuke scoffed, but let it go, whatever, let's just get going. In the meantime, another genin had tried to pass the 2. He got a kick in the stomach and landed on his butt harshly. How cruel. It came from one of the genin. Watching one of the boys' eyebrow twitched. What did you say? Listen up, we're being kind to you. The Chunin exams are like nothing you have experienced before. It's not just a stroll in the park. We have seen genin who have given up being shinobi become seriously injured or even killed in the exams. The other continued. A Chunin will receive missions where they are the commander. That means they are responsible for any failed missions or any comrade's death if it should happen. To think that genin of your skill level is even trying to enter the exams. The boy even looked a little disgusted by the notion. The second boy put a hand on his shoulder to calm him down and then continued, with that in mind, what's wrong with sifting out those who aren't going to pass anyway? It would spare a lot of people a lot of time. Sasuke stepped forward. That's a sound argument, but I will pass. He paused a second and undo the genjutsu field. It's rather annoying. I want to go to the 3rd floor. Naruto sighed once again. You just had to point that out, huh? Sasuke, they're kind of right. If these genin can't discover such a low-level genjutsu, then they don't have what it takes to become Chunin. The other genin had other thoughts running through their heads. They had no idea what he was talking about. They were on the 3rd floor. You could see it by the room number. It was 301, not 201. The 2 boys seemed disappointed that their trick hadn't fooled everyone. So you noticed? It was Sakura who spoke up. Of course we noticed that. You don't expect to fool everyone with a low-level genjutsu like that, do you? We are only on the 2nd floor. As soon as she said it, the boys released the genjutsu. No reason to keep a jutsu up which fools no one. The first boy's posture changed, whereas before it was just taunting. This said that he had no problem with getting into a fight. The boy smirked. You're pretty good, but that won't be enough, he said, and took off. Sasuke was never one to say no to a fight and took off as well. Their kicks were just about to hit the other when a green blur stopped them. Lee. Sasuke eyes shot open in surprise. He's fast, and he is different from the person who was just hit moments ago. Niji came over to the group, having stood with Lee before you 2 broke your promise. He looked at Lee. It was you who didn't want to draw attention by doing something that stands out. Lee didn't answer, but just took a look at Sakura. Tenten sighed. Sakura again. I think she has made it pretty clear that she isn't interested. Niji looked Sasuke over. Hey you there, identify yourself. Sasuke didn't look fazed by Niji's attitude. You're supposed to introduce yourself first. You know with that the two genin started a game of wits trying to get the other to tell their name first. Naruto leaned to Tenten. So Niji, she nodded. Niji, Sasuke-kun. Naruto, let's go, we need to be there soon. Sakura said. Naruto bid Tenten and Lee farewell and walked with Sakura and Sasuke up the stairs. They reached the third floor not long after to find Kakashi standing in front of the doors to the examination room. He looked his team in the eyes. Each of them was filled with determination. Even Sakura's a look more and more common in her eyes. He clapped his book closed. Good, you've all showed up. You can now enter the Chunin exams. Naruto didn't miss how he had said it. And what would have happened if only two or one of us had showed? You wouldn't be able to enter. You can only enter the Chunin exams in teams of 3. Some exceptions are made, but none of you are qualified for them. But none of that matters now. You have all showed and you can enter. Good luck, he said and stepped aside. They stepped inside and were shocked at what they saw. There must have been more than 100 genin staring at them right now, or more like glaring. Naruto looked at Sakura, whom showed real nerves. He gently tapped her on the arm to get her attention. They looked at each other and nodded. It seemed to help her. She looked back at them. They all look so strong, and as Naruto said, we are just rookies. They all have more experience than we. Sasuke-kun, your late. A seducing voice sounded, bringing all three out of their respective thoughts. Ino jumped at Sasuke, hugging him and making sure her assets were firmly pressed against his back. I've been eagerly waiting for you ever since I heard that you would be participating in the exams too. It has been such a long time since I've seen you. Sakura was glaring right at Ino, who hadn't even had the decency to notice Naruto or Sakura. Get away from Sasuke-kun, Ino pig. Ino responded with just a deadly glare. Oh my, it's you, Sakura. Your forehead is as wide as ever and you're still. What the hell happened to you? First Naruto was confused at the response. He took a quick glance at Sakura. She looked as pretty as always. Or what? He took a closer look. She did look different than in the academy. She wasn't as skinny as before. Not that she was fat, but she had muscles now. Not bulging muscles, but you could see she had trained. Sakura just scoffed. It's called training, Ino pig. Maybe you should try it sometimes. Ino just stuck her tongue out at Sakura, still clinging to Sasuke. Where are you three going to take this troublesome exam to? A new voice sounded. Naruto immediately recognized it as Shikamaru, heir to the Nara clan. What, you don't think we can do it, Shika? Naruto responded. Shikamaru sighed, mumbling something that sounded like troublesome blonde. Beside him stood Chuji, munching on a bag of chips. Yeah, I found the whole pack, half yelled another voice. Naruto turned to see Kiba and his team standing behind him. So I see that everyone is here. Hello, Inada said in a very low voice. Naruto noticed and looked her directly in her eyes until she blushed and looked away. Last there was Shino just standing there, not letting any emotion show. What, so you made it too troublesome? It came from Shikamaru. Kiba grinned. I see, so all the 9 genin rookies are going to take the exam. Lee will rock it. Naruto cringed lightly. Kiba was speaking really loud, catching the attention of the whole room. They would get enough attention as it was just by being the only rookies this year. They didn't need to seem dumb. To dog breath. Keep your voice down, you're drawing unwanted attention to us, Naruto hissed. The other rookies looked at him like he had grown a second head. He had actually said something that made sense, but Kiba wasn't convinced. Yeah right, as if you could figure something like that out. Dead last. Naruto glared at Kiba. He had always picked on Naruto in the academy, and it didn't seem like that had changed. If you keep thinking like that, you won't last long. There was a silence as the two glared at each other. Hey you guys, yet another voice called. They turned to see an older silver-haired genin walking their way. You should keep quiet, you're drawing attention to yourself. See, Naruto said to Kiba. He only got a glare in response. The silver-haired looked at the rookie. 9. I'm Yakushi Kabuto. You must be the 9 rookies that just graduated from the academy a few months ago, correct? You're all fooling around with those cute faces. Geez, this isn't a field trip, and why should we trust you? As you just said, this isn't a field trip. Don't trust anyone and don't expect to be trusted, Naruto said, again getting looks from his old classmates. Kabuto smiled. You're right, but I'm also a Konoha genin, he said, tapping his Atai as proof. I just thought I would give you some advice since this is your first exam, but if that isn't enough, take a look around. And so they did. Almost every team were looking their way, listening intently at what they were saying. Naruto caught a glimpse of Haku and her team and nodded at them, the same with Tenten. Then he saw a teen from Kyumo, or more exactly one of the genin. She was tall, probably 3 years older than him. They got into eye contact and a sort of trance just started. Naruto was memorized by the eyes, or more likely the look in her eyes. It was as they had known each other for years. He also felt that same familiarity he had felt with that Gaara guy. To Naruto, there you are, Sakura said, hitting him a bit on the shoulder to get his attention. He blinked a few times and looked at his female teammate. How's something wrong, Sakura? Sakura looked at him. You just spaced out. Did something happen? Naruto shook his head, trying to get it back on track. No, nothing happened, sorry. Sakura turned back to Kabuto. Kabuto-san, was it? She asked, receiving a Nod, is this your second time? Then no, it's my 7th time. The rookies were stunned. These exams only take place twice every year and it's my 4th year. That would mean you know a lot about the exams, right? Sakura asked. Right, Kabuto smiled. Shikamaru wasn't so convinced, but he hasn't passed yet. He can't be that good, or it means that the exams are harder than you think, he retorted, resulting in another troublesome from Shikamaru. But as I said, I'm here to help you. He took out a set of cards. All the times I have been in these exams, I have gathered information on the different genin teams and the genin themselves. Just ask for anyone you want to know something about, and I'll tell you. Sasuke weren't going to let free information slide. By then, show me Gaara of Tsunarokli of Konoha and Uzumaki Naruto also of Konoha. Naruto, send him a quick glare. Great, if Kabuto knows just a little of my skills, it's not going to stay a secret much longer. It doesn't seem like there isn't one team who's not listening, and oh, you know their names, Kabuto said, almost sounding disappointed. Then this won't take much time. There was dead silence in the room while he took the 3 cards. Only the sound of Chuji munching his chips remained. Here we go. First, let's see Rock Lee. He's 1 year older than you guys. Mission experience 30D rank and 19C rank 1s. The squad leader is Madogai, the green beast of Konoha. His teammates are Higurashi 1010 weapon master and Hyuga Niji prodigy of his clan. Hinata tensed up at the mention of her cousin, making Naruto frown. Was she afraid of going up against her own family? He brushed it off. Kabuto continued. His taijutsu skills have increased dramatically this past year since he graduated, but his other skills are close to non-existent. He got everyone's attention last year as a skilled rookie genin, but he didn't take the Chunin exams. This is his first time taking it like you. Next, let's see Gaara of the desert. He is the same age as you guys. Mission experience 8 C rank 1s, and this is amazing. He did a B rank mission as a genin. I don't know how many D rank he did, as this is his first time taking the exams and he isn't from Konoha, and the same reason is why I can't tell you his skills. I don't know his squad leader's name either, but his teammates are his siblings Kankuro and Tamari. They are all the children of the current Kazekage Yoname Kazekage-sama. There is one more thing I should tell you though. It's just a rumor. It seems that he has returned from all of his missions unharmed. The rookies were again stunned. He did a B rank mission as a genin and completed it unharmed. And last, let's see Uzumaki Naruto. He is the same age as you very well know. Mission experience WoW 21 D rank, 5 C rank and 2 A rank 1s, and only the few months since you graduated for the 3rd time in less than half an hour. Naruto received disbelieving looks from the other rookies. Kabuto continued. The squad leader is Hatake Kakashi, also known as Sharingan no Kakashi. Is teammates are Uchiha Sasuke, the last loyal Uchiha, and Haruno Sakura, the top kunoichi of her year. He himself graduated as the dead last. His genjutsu skills are below average. He is only able to dispel them, not cast them. This is because of his enormous Kage level chakra reserves. His taijutsu is above average, but nothing to take note of, and his ninjutsu is well over average. Using his Kekkei Genkai Shoten, this time he got even more disbelieving looks even from his own team. He paid no attention to it, only glaring at the person who had revealed close to all of his skills to the whole room. Why, thank you, Kabuto. Why don't you say it a little louder? I'm not sure. The Kusa team in the other end of the room heard it. The blonde genin said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. No, we heard it. It came from the other end of the room, making Naruto and the other rookie's sweat drop. But Kabuto wasn't done. It also seems like he has an incredible healing rate. He heals from scratches within minutes, broken bones within a day, and he doesn't seem to get sick. Naruto looked at the older genin in front of him with disbelief. How did this person who he had never met know all of his secrets? Well, all but one. Even if he did, he wouldn't be stupid enough to reveal it. That's what he thought, until Kabuto was about to make one of his worst fears come true. It is thought the reason for his healing rate is because Naruto's eyes shot open in fear before he let instinct take over. He grabbed Kabuto before he could finish the sentence and slammed him into the wall. Crystals quickly formed around his wrist and legs, sticking him to the wall, while 2 smaller crystal blades formed close to his throat, inches from killing him. Many from the room looked surprised and shocked at the development. None more than the rookie. Sakura was probably the one who were most surprised. She had trained and hung out and actually liked it with him for months, and never once had he pulled something like this off. Normally Ino would have scolded Naruto by now, but she was mesmerized by the crystals at Naruto's command. As many others in the room, Naruto, with his hand still pressing Kabuto to the wall, took the card out of the silver-haired genin's hand and read it. He knew about the Kyuubi, but how? He can't be more than 17. He wasn't old enough to be there or have been told when it happened. He leaned close into Kabuto to whisper in his ear, "You might as well thank me, Kabuto-san. I have just saved you for a very uncomfortable death. What you were about to reveal is an S-rank secret. I don't know how you found out, but I'll make sure the Hokage himself knows of it." The Sand siblings were standing halfway through the room, but they had a clear view. Tamari stared at the crystal, the clockwork in her head churning. "I knew it." Kabuto turned to his sister. "You knew what? You don't notice anything, do you?" She scolded lightly. "That is the genin we ran into a week ago." Kabuto Didn't like being scolded like that from his big sister. Well, it is a little difficult to notice stuff when you have your head stuffed into the road, he hissed back. Tamari's side when he handled you. She got a glare from Kankuro. He seemed to summon a kunai out of thin air. I have been trying to figure out how he did it. He must have used his Kekkei Genkai. We should watch out for him. We don't need to do such things if he crossed my path. Mother will be happy to swim in his blood, Gaara said while looking hungrily at the blonde genin from Konoha. Team Guy were already sitting at a writing table. Niji looked interested for a second but dropped it. Ten, isn't that your friend? Ten tore her eyes away from the scene. She was just as surprised as Sakura to look at her teammate. Yes, he is. Did you know about his Kekkei Genkai? Niji asked in an emotionless voice. She hesitated. Yes, I did. Niji shot her a glare. And why didn't you think it was necessary to tell us? Because he is my friend and I promised I wouldn't talk about it until it was public knowledge, which I guess it is now, she responded, not wavering a second. The Hyuga prodigy was about to retort when Lee intervened. Niji, calm down. While she maybe should have told us given the circumstances, she didn't. Because of a friend, that is the best excuse you could have. Niji scoffed but let it slide as he retracted into his emotionless shell again. Ten mouthed a thank you to Lee, who nodded at her. In another place in the room, the only Kumo team stood. You think this is what Raikage-sama was talking about? He said that while this is a diplomatic mission, we needed to look out because there had been rumors about Konoha getting a new Kekkei Genkai. Karui whispered to her two teammates. Omoi, who was serious for once, responded, I think we can be pretty sure about that, and he looks like he has some degree of control over it. What do you think? Yujito, the third member, was still staring at the whiskered kid from Konoha. What is it about him? There is something. Yujito-chan, are you there? Karui asked. Yujito blinked. Yeah, I think we can be sure it's him. We need to report it to Samui when we can back with Naruto and Kabuto. The silver-haired genin gulped. I guess I'll give you my thanks, I guess so, he responded with a glare. He stepped back and with an unseen command the crystal shattered. He then held the card up for Kabuto to see, then crystallized it and shattered it as well. You won't need this anymore. A smoke cloud expanded in the far end of the room. Quiet down, you punks, drawing the attention from the rookies. Little by little the cloud dispersed to reveal a bunch of Konoha shinobi. The frontmost seemed to be one who had spoken up. Sorry to keep you waiting. I am the examiner of the first test of the Chunin exams, Marino Ibiki. He pointed directly at Naruto. You from Konoha don't think you can do anything you want before the exam? Do you want to be failed before it even starts? Naruto bowed. I'm sorry, Marino-san, it won't happen again. Ibiki didn't let show he heard it. This is a good chance to say this. You are not allowed to fight each other during the exam unless given permission by the examiners, and if the permission is given you can't kill each other unless that has been expressed as well by the examiner. Anyone who doesn't follow the rules of the exams will fail immediately. Understood? No one contradicted him. The first part of the Chunin exams will begin. Turn in your applications and take one of these tags. Sit where the number tells you to, then we will pass out the papers for the written exam. Naruto got in line to turn in his application. He got number 53. He wasn't sitting anywhere near his teammates. Well, I guess that's clear why we can't sit next to the people we are in teams with. He looked to his right side to find Hinata. At least there's one person I know nearby. He looked on his desk. There was his paper turned over the backside facing up, a pencil, an eraser, and a pencil sharpener. He sighed. While he had gotten smarter, he still hated written exams. He was brought out of his thoughts when Ibiki tapped a charcoal on the blackboard. This first exam has a few important rules. I will not accept any questions, so listen carefully. He let it sink in as he started writing on the blackboard. First rule is you all are given 10 points at the start. The written exam consists of 10 questions and each is worth 1 point. The test is a deduction-based test. If you get one problem wrong you will get 1 point deducted, so if you get 3 problems wrong your points will be reduced to 7. He let the genin in the room think about it for a few seconds. Second rule, the pass-fail decision will be determined by your team's total points. Just at that moment Sakura was so relieved that she wasn't on the team with the old Naruto. Ibiki didn't stop. Third rule, if an examiner determines that you have cheated or done something similar during the test, the action will cause you to lose 2 points. In other words, there will be people who will be forced to leave this place without their test being graded. Those who try to cheat without thinking carefully first will only hurt themselves and their teams. He paused again. You are trying to become Chunin, so start acting like one. And last, if anyone in the team gets a 0 everyone on that team will fail. Yes, Sakura was really happy she wasn't on the team with the old Naruto. The last problem will be given 45 minutes. After the exam begins you have 1 hour for the exam. Begin. The room was filled with the sound of papers turning before falling. Dead silent. Naruto looked at the paper in front of him and after he read the questions got a little worried. Out of the 9 questions he thought that he maybe would be able to answer on 3. He looked around him to see horror-filled faces. He turned his attention back to his paper. Okay, question 3. How far and how fast can you throw a standard kunai, not using any chakra of any kind based on Kimrai's law of air currents? I know I Have read this somewhere before 35 minutes had passed. There had already been 14 teams who had been caught cheating. Naruto had only 2 solved problems, with one of them being a guess at best. How is anyone able to answer these questions? These are not for Genin level shinobi. Sakura or Shikamaru might be able to answer them all, but she is a freak of nature in that department, and Shika's a damn lazy genius. You just can't answer these questions without cheating. Okay Naruto, calm down. What was it? Ibiki said those who try to cheat without thinking first. He thought about it for a minute or two. That is it, he wants us to cheat. Of course it all makes sense now. He must be testing out ability to gather information within limited time. The question now is, how do I cheat without getting caught? As Naruto had come to that conclusion, he looked around in the room. Just as he had thought people were cheating, the Hyuga had their Byakugan activated, Sasuke had his Sharingan activated, Tenten was using mirrors. Maybe, just maybe, will it work? He looked around to see if any of the examiners were looking his way. None was very subtle. He made the ram seal under the table. He closed his eyes to concentrate. Very slowly little mirrors appeared around the room, one on his table, one on the ceiling above his table, and around the room. Now he wanted to see Sakura's test. She was the one he trusted the most to have the right answers. He was sure there were Chunin or maybe even Jounin in here with the right answers, but he didn't know who they were, so he went with Sakura very carefully. He turned the different mirrors until he could see Sakura and the mirror on the table. He turned the last mirror a bit more, and there he could now see her test, and as he thought she was now finishing her solution on the last of her questions, he quickly wrote down the answers and very carefully broke the crystal mirrors down little by little to avoid making noise. With that done, he waited the last minutes until the 10th question was revealed. A few minutes later, Ibiki grinned. He was standing the exact same spot as when he had told the rules of the exam. Naruto thought he was scary as hell, but he had some talent. Ibiki spoke up. Looks like we've already dropped the incompetent ones. I will now give the problem, since 45 minutes have already passed, so listen up. This is the 10th and final problem. The room was dead silent, all awaiting the last problem. But before I do, there's one thing I must say. There will be one special rule for this last question. Just as he was about to tell the rule, the door opened and in walked Kankuro and a guard. Ibiki smirked. You're lucky your puppet show didn't have to go to a waste. Shock was written all over his face. He hadn't expected anyone to know about his Karasa puppet. Ibiki closed his eyes. Oh well, sit down. Kankuro walked to his seat, discreetly dropping a piece of rolled up paper on his sister's table, and sat down. I will now explain. Ibiki continued. This is a hopeless rule. First, you are all going to choose if you wish to take this 10th problem or not. That caught everyone's attentions. It was Temari of Suna who spoke up. Choose. So what happens if we don't take the 10th problem? If you choose not to take it, Ibiki replied, your points will be reduced to 0. In other words, you and your team will fail. A lot of murmur caused through the room, and here is the other rule. The room fell silent again. If you choose to take it and you get it wrong, you will lose the privilege to take the Chunin exams forever. Kiba couldn't take it anymore. He had held in an outburst for way too long. What the hell? There should be those here who have taken the exams in the past. Naruto started to get really scared when Ibiki started laughing lightly. Chills ran down his back, and he swore he saw the Shinigami behind Ibiki. You were unlucky, he finally said. This year I am the one making the rules. That is why I gave you the option of quitting. Those who are not confident can choose not to take it and just take the exam later this year or the exam after that. Naruto looked around, finding worried faces everywhere. He looked at Sasuke and Sakura. He was relieved that they didn't seem to want to quit, but he caught sight of Hinata doing something with her fingers and the terrified look in her eyes. He looked back at Ibiki. Let us begin. Those who do not want to receive the 10th problem, raise your hands. After we confirm your numbers, we will have you leave first. No one raised their hands. Just as Naruto was beginning to think no one would, the person on his left rose from his seat. I won't take the question. Number 50 fail. It sounded from one of the examiners. Number 130 and 111 fail along with him, and with that the dam was open. More and more raised their hands, quitting slowly one by one. The room thinned out. Naruto didn't have a problem with it, that is until Hinata started to raise her hand. What could he do? He quickly formulated a plan and started to raise his hand, surprising both his teammates. He then slammed it into the table. You know what, fuck you Baldy, I'm not going to run away. I'll take the problem. Even if I become a genin forever, I'm going to become the Hokage no matter what. I'm not scared. He sat down again. He winced mentally. He knew this was how he used to talk all the time. He really had to go and apologize to Iriko when he couldn't be around a person yelling all the time, but his plan had worked. Hinata and everyone else thinking about quitting now only had confidence left. I will ask one more time. Ibiki said, this is the choice that will impact your life. If you want to quit, now is the chance. Naruto leaned back in his chair, looking straight into Ibiki's eyes. I am not going back on my word. That's my way of the ninja. Ibiki smiled. What a kid. He wiped out everyone's uncertainty. 84 students. There's more left than I expected. Looks like there's no point in waiting any longer. He glanced over at the other Examiners they all nodded to him. He took a deep breath. Nice determination then for the first exam. Everyone here passes. Everyone was stunned. Sakura couldn't stop herself anymore. Wait, what's the meaning of that? We pass already? What about the 10th problem? Ibiki showed a big smile, making everyone get goosebumps. There was no such thing to begin with, or you can call the two choice question the 10th problem. Hey, everyone turned their attention to Tamari. So what were those previous 9 problems? It was all a waste. No, it was not. The scarred examiner replied. The 9 problems accomplished their purpose to test each individual's information gathering skills. First, this test's purpose lies in the first rule. Your pass-fail decision is based on your 3-person teams. By giving the idea, we have given you an unprecedented amount of pressure to try and not be a nuisance to your team, but these test problems cannot be solved by your average genin, so most of the people here must have come to the conclusion I have to cheat to get points. In other words, this exam assumed that everyone was going to cheat, so we snuck 2 chunin and who knew the answers to be targets of cheating. 2 people raised their hands, but those who cheated like a fool failed. Of course, why? Ibiki untied his bandana to show his scalp full of scars. Information can have greater value than life at times, and in missions and battlefields information is contested with the lives of people. People took a good look before he tied his bandana on again. The information that an enemy gets after being noticed by a third person will not necessarily be accurate. Remember this, getting incorrect information can cause great damage to your teammates and village, so we made you all gather information in the form of cheating. We kicked out those who were lacking in that field. That's what went on. Tamari had followed this far, but she still had one problem. But I still can't agree to that on the last problem. But this 10th problem was the main problem of the first exam. Ibiki saw the confused looks on many, but a knowing look at Naruto. Let me explain. The 10th question was a take or not take choice. Needless to say, it was a painful 2-choice problem. Those who did not take it failed with their teams. If you chose to take it and could not answer it, your right to ever taking the exam would be taken away. It was a very insincere problem. I still don't get it. It came from Tamari this time. Naruto spoke up. It's rather simple really. When you become chunin, you will get missions with you as captain, thus it will be you who are responsible and you are the one to make the decision. Let's say you get a mission where you are against innumerable odds. You can choose to go even when the odds are against you and save your village, but risking you and your team's life, or you can choose not to go but risk your whole village. Realization struck everyone in the room. Ibiki nodded. You are correct. Just because your life and the lives of your teammates may be in danger, are you able to avoid dangerous missions? The answer is no. There are missions that carry heavy risks but cannot be avoided. The ability to show your courage to your teammates when needed, and the ability to get through a bad situation, that is what we look for in a chunin, a squad leader. Those who cannot bet their fate in a critical situation, those who give up when given the chance, because there is a tomorrow and next week and next year, and let their minds sway over an uncertain future. Fools who only carry a light determination like that have no right to become a chunin. That is what I believe. He looked over the crowd who were sucking up every word. I am saying that you here who have chosen to take the 10th problem gave the right answer for a difficult question. You can deal with the difficulties you will face. You have broken through the entrance. The first exam of the chunin selection ends now. I wish you luck. No longer than 3 seconds later did a ball of cloth crash through the window. A hand threw 2 kunai to the ceiling, revealing a banner that said second examiner sexy and dangerous Mitarashi Anko is here. In front of it stood a very provoking clothed woman with purple hair. Everyone, there's no time to be happy. I am the second examiner Mitarashi Anko. Let's go to the next exam.